5 different style adapters that allow you to put on any style stock, from an ace stock, metal skeletal stock, to an M4 style collapsible stock, to your standard fixed M16 stock. And they range, I think, from about $20 to $30 US. Personally, I haven't put one on here yet. I might get around to doing it. Only problem is cutting that weird metal lug off voids your warranty, but a lot of people say it's worth it. Another problem here, these handguards, well, they're not exactly the greatest quality. When you take them off, you can see them flex, and they feel like shit. Really, they feel cheap. Your options for that are, you can buy a Midwest Industries front rail system, like the center quad rail, basically, that will replace this. Problem is that comes in, I think, around $200 US and weighs in, I think, another 3 pounds. But a lot of people seem to think it's worth it. I just haven't got around to doing it yet because I'm spending my money on ammunition instead, and with a high school budget, I only have so much time and money. One more disadvantage here. You'll notice on the top here, I have a Picatinny rail. That doesn't come with it. It has a weird little Armalite proprietary base system for it, and unless you can find the old ar180 bases for it or buy one from Armalite, your best bet is to buy one of these quick detach rails from Stormworks. Midwest Industries does make them as well, but the Stormworks extended base is probably the best on the market, I've heard. And basically all it is this little bar here acts as a spring guided, and it keeps pressure on this and keeps this rail here pressed against the dovetail underneath. Now it is technically quick detach, but I've sighted my scope in, and I don't want to change the point of impact, so I personally leave it on there. Some people have commented that they're not very straight, they wall around a lot. Personally, not a lot of give there, I find, and worked well for me. That is definitely a worthwhile investment. I think it's $75 US for the extended rail, or about 88 Canadian depending on the changing markets. Definitely a worthwhile investment. While speaking of optics, on here I have a Bushnell T-dot. See if you can see that. See that there? Definitely not the most expensive scope in the market. It's no EOTech, it's no Aimpoint, it's no Trigicon ACOG, but ACOG's running $2,000 in Canada. I can't justify spending more on a scope than I can on a gun, and I found it works. Now for disassembly. It's pretty simple to take apart, really, when I can do it right. Turn your rifle around, and you'll notice a little notch right there. Insert stick. They say use a point of a bullet. I don't want to do that. Scratch it unnecessarily into there, and push. Now careful here, because you can have some serious problems here, because there's one problem with this polymer lower receiver, and that's it. If you let the rifle drop, you see right there, you're at risk of breaking this front hinge pin here, and that has happened. It's cracked. So carefully guide it downwards. You'll notice that your op rod pops at the back. Pull that out. And when you do that, top half of your front handguard will pop free. Pull up and out, and it's gone. Remember, plastic. Look at that flex. Then here are the guts of the baby, your piston system. This is fairly simple to take apart. Well, I'm going to struggle a little here because I'm trying to do this with the camera. Oh yeah. Don't forget to take your bolt out. Pull it all the way to the back and line up with this hole right here, the handle. Pull the knob off, charging handle, and extract the bolt assembly. For those of you that want the old curved styled ar180 handle, Stormworks does make a insert for that. You can swap these out. Back to the gas system. Pull the piston all the way to the back till it stops. Pull this little guy here forward onto here, out, back and out. This forward piece here, pull it back till it goes into the piston, then up and out, and it's out. Then allow the piston to slide forward gently. This spring loaded, remember that, and it comes off. Pretty simple to put back together. line up with the third hole in the receiver, push it in and hold it in so it doesn't fly out. Front piece, put it into here first and then straight forward onto your gas block. Middle piece in, again into, put it onto the forward piece first and then allow the off-rod piston to come forward like that. Alright, so you got your gas system back together. Now let me show you how the bolt comes apart. It's fairly simple here. You'll notice a little pin right there on the side. Well, push it out from the smaller side while holding down on the rear of the firing pin so it doesn't fly out and hit you in the face. And you'll see it comes out the side like that. Take that out and carefully, gently ease up in this so it doesn't fly out and get lost. And there comes your firing pin and spring. The bolt comes out rather simply now. Pull it forward, twist this little guy, pull this little guy here, straight out, and your bolt head will come straight out. Reassembly is simple. You'll notice you're doing it wrong if you put it in and this nut doesn't fit in, this nut here doesn't fit in, so you'll figure out eventually if you're doing it wrong. Line up the holes on the bottom, not the top, bottom, and put this nut, whatever you want to call it, back in so that this hole lines up with the direction of the receiver that the firing pin is going to go in. So when that's in, take your firing pin and insert it in the rear. Make sure that your bolt head is all the way forward. And pardon me while I struggle here. Push the firing pin back in. Hold on. There you go. Ta-da! Back in. Put your pin in before you celebrate. And push the pin back in to the side and make sure they line up. Ta-da! And your bolt's back together now. You can see the holes right there that your off rods will go through. Make sure bolt head is pulled all the way forward because this little nut here has to line up with some rails inside the receiver. See the other barrel there, it is unloaded. A little late now, I know. Jiggle it around a little. While you're putting it in, line up the hole in the bolt and the hole in the receiver and put in your charging handle. Allow it to come forward and get that bolt and head in there. Take your off rod and insert it part of the way partially, because as you'll notice, they do stick out right here. So to deal with that, that's because that holds on the front handguard. And take your front handguard and put it on and hold it down, otherwise it'll pop up. So hold it down and push this in all the way. And it should stay there. Lower the two halves. Shit, easier said than done. Lower your two halves, and voila, you have your completed rifle. Now, usage for this gun. Well, here in Canada, you're basically limited to target shooting with it. You can't use it for self-defense because of our laws here, really. Hunting, it's not necessarily accurate enough. If you want an accurate 223 non-restricted black rifle, look at an H&K SL8. They're probably the best in the market. But if you want to try your hand at, environment or predator hunting with it, it will work. Ontario is too small for deer and definitely too small for bear, moose, or any of that. Don't risk doing something stupid like that. And the US, though, it would make a decent defensive carbine, or I guess you could even a patrol rifle for those that don't have the money to shell out on an AR-15. And overall, it's a pretty good gun. It does have its flaws, but for those of us here in Canada, it makes sense, and for those looking for a less expensive black rifle in the US, it also makes sense as a legitimate alternative to the AR-15, but don't expect it to have the exact same performance as an AR-15. Thanks, and I'll hope to show you more of my collection sometime. This is W2112, out.